Hi again, folks. This is video for Music Theory Fundamentals, looking at chapter 1 and sort of the last bit of that, looking at ledger lines and the grand staff. So ledger lines are, as you see here, pretty easily defined, but can be confusing for some students. When music extends above or below the staff, it needs extra lines, because if you were to just put notes above or below, or note heads above or below a staff, how would we know which pitch it's supposed to be, right? So you don't just put note heads in space and kind of approximate what kind of pitch, although that was something that people would do long ago, before ledger lines existed, but that's why they came up with ledger lines, to be more precise about the pitches. So let's go to the next page here. These here, when you see the pitches get above or below the staff. So right here we have C5, right? There's C5, D, E, F. Then this F is the last line on the treble clef staff. That's the last line. So the next pitch right above that is in the space called G, right? G is above it, and that's in this space. Notice that there's no ledger line above G. We don't need that ledger, a made up ledger line, to know that that pitch is G. We only bring in the ledger line when a note head is on that line or above it, right? So we have F again. This F is the last pitch on on the last line of the treble clef. G is the next, and then if we want to keep going, A is above that, and there's this little ledger line that the note takes up. Notice the ledger line, you can see a little on each side of the A, right? The A doesn't go around the line, it goes right on the line, and we can see the line outside of it. Then B is right above that A. If we want to keep going, we need to add a second ledger line. So now we have, the reason we need to keep this ledger line with nothing on it is so we know that this ledger line that has the C is what it is. In the same way that this D right here, we still need the other ledger lines to know that it's there. So as you move up in ledger lines, all of the ones that were before it need to be there. So this E, right, is on the third ledger line above the staff. And we know that because we have the two ledger lines above it. So if I, let me switch to this, hopefully this works. So this is our grand staff. We'll talk about that in a second. This note is a D on the line. And as I would just click up, that's an E, right? That's an F. So if I want to play an A above that F, so A is 3 away, F 1, G 2, A 3, the A above that, that's G 1, 2, then 3, A. See that ledger line? And I can keep going. B, C, 2 ledger lines. Same thing if we go below. So let's say we have this E. I want to go below that E. What's the note right below E? That's right, it's D, and it'll be in this space right there. No ledger line yet. If I want to go, here's this E. If I want to go 2 below E, you know what that is? E, 1. Sorry, if I want to go 3 below E, E is 1. What's 2? That's right, you're counting backwards. D, and then 3, C, right? E, D, C, 3 below. So that's D, C. One ledger line there. What's 3 below C? A, right? So we had C is 1, B is 2, 3 is A. So remember, that ledger line that C was on still needs to be there. Okay? So that's how ledger lines work. And once things get too low, right? If we go back and look at this, sorry, let me share that one more time. When there's too many ledger lines, it gets really hard to read. And that's why all these different clefs exist. Because look, that note there, that's a lot of ledger lines to read, you know? So what is useful is this grand staff. We can actually make this pitch, which is an F, a really, really low F. I actually don't need it there. Is it not going to let me play it? I don't know what it's doing right now. Well, anyway, that's okay. Let's look back at the book real quick and you'll get the idea of what I'm after here. So here's your textbook again. We're looking at the grand staff. The grand staff is a treble staff and a bass staff connected by a curly brace, a line. Some people call it the piano staff because if you are reading piano music, it usually comes in this way. So take a look at an important component of the grand staff that connects the two. Look at middle C here. Remember, middle C is C4. It's in the middle of the keyboard. It's also right in the middle of the grand staff. You see how right here, middle C, it's one ledger line below the staff of treble clef. So here's our treble clef. Middle C is one ledger line below the first line. Middle C in the bass clef is one ledger line above, right? Is one ledger line above the bass clef. So here's middle C. So they connect, they overlap right at that middle C, right? That's a useful tool to think about. All right, so then your book talks more about ledger lines and more about the grand staff. But if we look back at the score I had up, so I'm not sure why it's having problems here. It's not letting me. Okay, great. So let's put a middle C right here. I hope you can hear it. So here's middle C in the treble clef. Right, did you hear that? If I delete that and I put middle C, right? So remember that the notes of bass clef, right here is G, good, birds, do, fly, always. So that's an A. Middle C is 3 above that. A is 1, B is 2, 3. Do you hear how it's the same pitch? So that's the exact same note. Same register, that is C4, that's middle C. These two and the grand staff, that and that is the same pitch. That's the crossover point, okay? So there you go. That's your grand staff and your ledger lines. And that's it for chapter 1. Okay, I will see y'all soon. Email me with any questions. Take care.